We please give a warm welcome to my very good friends Michael and Melissa Hart. Have a seat, have a seat. I don't do that. Very good. I was going to ask you if you wanted to dance, Melissa, but I thought,
oh, I was doing that before.
Were you doing that? Yeah. And I thought, well, it's our first impression. We don't want them to think we're too goofy, right? Okay. All right. So this is not one of my questions, but I'm going to ask. How tall are you?
I used to be 5'1".
Uh-oh.
So
okay.
yeah, I think I'm like 4'11" now.
Right. And then they said you're a petite, cute little thing. And how tall are you?
About 6'1".
6'1". Oh my goodness. Is it hard dancing with him, like slow dancing?
No, not at all. I don't know. I just stand on a step.
Oh, you are? Okay, very good. Very good. All right. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Of course.
I really, really appreciate it. And Mike just celebrated a birthday. And I know I can say his age because he went on TV.
Right.
It was. We'll talk later about it, but it was called 57 Adventures. And so anyway, happy birthday. You're
Thank
still
you.
Celebrating, right?
Thank you.
Yes,
My birthday was just before mine.
it was. Oh my goodness, happy birthday to you too.
Thank you.
And you're 21, right?
Okay, I'm going to give it away here, 62, because I just want people to feel like at any age, hello, you can do it. You know.
Yeah, you do, and you two certainly are. So I kind of want to give context here so that they understand how we met and all. So Melissa, you and I met many, many years ago. Was it 1999 or 2000, 2001? Do you remember?
That sounds about right, because my son was about 5. No, he was about 5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and at the time I was working full-time at Channel 8, but I also had this part-time gig where I was a reporter and an anchor. And that's really what I wanted to do. But Channel 8 said, no, you're not good enough. You got to go somewhere else. And at the time, Mark and I were newlyweds. We were married, so I can't move, right? It's not like I can move back east. So I had to figure out a way, and I found Daniel's Cablevision, which at the time was in Carlsbad. And that's how I met, that's how I met Melissa. She came in and she wanted to be a reporter. And I even knew back then that you were a woman that makes it happen. I already knew. And you had a full-time job, right?
I did. I worked at the Red Cross, and so we would, have blood shortages, and I would end up in the studio, and the whole thing was so cool to me. So I thought, well, midlife, I'm going to change my career. Hello, hi, Darlene. They teach me everything I need to know.
Yeah, and you were great too. We thought, and my boss at the time, Val, she thought you were great too, and you got promoted pretty quickly because you even sat in the anchor chair and did some anchor stuff for us, so that was really great. So that's how we met, and then we lost touch, and then we reconnected again because I started seeing Melissa and Mike's wonderful videos. They started popping up on my Facebook feed, and that's how we kind of reconnected. But before we get into that, I want to know, hello.
This is great. You guys just chat. I'll just hang
out. Yeah, just hang out. No. Oh no, I'm going to be quizzing you too. So tell me how did you two meet?
We met on Match.com.
Okay.
It was pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, one of my prerequisites. So I have a daughter, and I was a single divorcee, and basically I wanted something exactly what she was. I put on my profile, I want this, and this. She said, okay. And one of the things was basically sailing around the world. So
I said, hot guy, sailing, I'm in, not really realizing what I was getting myself into, mind you. But it was really the best decision I ever made, honestly. It was incredible.
That's wonderful. What did you think when you first met each other in person? Do you remember what your first impression was?
Oh, yes, I do.
She's short. You don't see that on the profile, petite. There you go. I'm sorry, you're correct.
I showed up at the door and he was all, oh, hi, you're smaller than I thought. I wasn't sure we were going to make it to the first day.
It didn't help that she was 2 steps down,
Right.
I had a whatever. But it was literally love at first sight on that day. It was 4th of July, and I saw fireworks on the first day that I met her, and we kind of knew each other. I mean, it was awesome.
That is so sweet. And I think I read on there, did it say on your description, it said, if you don't want to travel and you don't want to sail around the world, don't even bother. Something like that?
Exactly.
Wow. And so that didn't stop you?
No, I was at a point in my life, I was 42 when I met Michael, and he was only 37.
So a younger man, you're
Yes.
rocking it.
Thank you very much.
Girl. Good for you.
But, I was at a place in my life where that's what I wanted. I wanted adventure. I wanted to find somebody who was very emotional and, passionate and about everything, So, and that was Michael.
Wow, that's great. So you're going along, you're married, having a fun time and whatnot, and you've shared this with me. Both of you had two very good corporate careers. You had a huge home. You had all the great toys. By the way, is this true? Because I was doing my research. Is this true that you had a monthly mortgage payment of $7,000?
Yes.
At least.
Goodness.
Our burn rate was like $14,000 a month.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You must have really been rich and made a lot of money.
I was doing okay.
Which, by the way,
Hello, I contributed.
Oh, yeah. We were doing okay.
We're very competitive, by the way, if you haven't noticed.
yeah, they are. What were you guys doing?
I was the vice president of a $500 million company doing parking. So anywhere you park, I'm so sorry, but anywhere you park in San Diego, I probably put that parking thing in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in charge of all of Western United States, Central America, Caribbean, South America, and I had 3 different things. I was parking, time clocks, and I don't even remember what else. I mean, and then I had a huge staff, so it was.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
And then what about you, Melissa?
And I was in healthcare. And so, I was making really good money too.
Mhm.
And, we just put everything we had into the house. And of course, with a big house, there's a lot of expenses.
Sure.
So, you have to have money for everything.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Right. So fast forward, you decide, okay, we're gonna quit the jobs, we're gonna go sailing around the world. I know it ended up being the Pacific, but you made that decision. And how was that like? I mean, like, how was it as far as, sharing with Melissa this, I really want to do this, because Melissa, it's not like you were sailing, like you had all this great experience and all. Mike, you do. But no, not Melissa, you had to learn.
I was enjoying my family. I was enjoying, being a career person. I've always grown up to be a career person. And really, sailing and doing those kinds of adventures was not in my plan. When I said that to Michael back in the Match.com days, honestly, I didn't understand what I was talking about. So, here it is, and, we're enjoying our family, and, we're married for several years, and he starts talking about, okay, when are we going to do this? And I'm, thinking, well, I don't know. And, it took us about
5 years at least.
Yeah, at least 5 years to decide.
And we were basically, I wanted her to learn, like I learned. So we went through sailing schools and everything like that. So we started with the smallest little boat, and then we just worked our way up higher and higher. And then she got her certification. I did as well. But we basically just I wanted to make sure that I was safe, and I wanted her to feel like she was safe.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're underway, it's just the two of us. So.
Right, yeah.
I think it required a lot of soul searching for all of us, especially our children. I had to get buy-in from my family, from my, our children, because we knew we were going to have to start doing things to plan and to prep for all of this. So, that's what it was. It was getting the buy-in from, your children who are going to have to, start selling stuff, and, why can't we do this? Because we don't have enough money, and, we're going to go collect cans and, contribute to going to the movies now. It's like, why are these things changing? And my parents thinking, I'm going to let my daughter go out and do what? So.
And I do want to talk about that, because you've made a major shift. I mean, again, here you are having, this great lifestyle, big jobs, big home, spending stuff. I read on one of the articles you sent me, Melissa, that, and I got a kick out of it, that you spent about $7,000 in about 5 years on acrylic nails?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, admit. So one of the pieces when you start to plan is to stop spending money on stupid stuff, and I had to rationalize it with myself. Okay, well, what am I spending money on? Stupid stuff, hair, pedicures, nails. All that. I think I had phony eyelashes. I mean, it's expensive to be a kept woman like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you're right. It took a lot of, I guess, tenacity to not spend money on those things. You think about the gifts you buy people, the tickets you go, you see things, the memberships you have, everything is $1. It equates to something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things you have to make sure of when you go adventuring is to, because you may not have the money you used to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know we have some sailors in here, so we all know that boats cost a fortune. So we basically really had to scale down as much as we possibly could to make sure that we had the money for the boat and to move forward with that.
Right,
Yeah.
but you had a plan. What I'm hearing is that I'm sure it was tough to scale back and all, but you had a bigger vision.
Yes.
Right? And so that's often what the case is when you have a dream, right? You may have to step back and it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but you got to remember what is your dream? What's your end goal? And then you're going to have to make sacrifices. I remember when Channel 8 said to me, you can't come on air here because it's too big of a market. You're just going to have to go somewhere small. And it was like we were newlyweds. I couldn't move. I mean, Mark would be very mad at me to leave San Diego. And so I had to think like, what can I do? And I was so happy when that Daniel's Cablevision opportunity came up because then I could still work at Channel 8 full time, but then I worked that as a part-time thing. And it was rough. And then we got to the point where I was still told, like, your resume doesn't have enough hard news on it. So fortunately, I had a friend who was a news director in Las Vegas. And I made a deal with her that I would fly out every weekend so I could get all my hard news stuff and then put it together. And it was great because that's how I ended up getting the job at Channel 5. But I guess my point is that you have to make sacrifices if you really want a big dream. Usually the bigger the dream, the bigger the sacrifice, right?
And like Mark, don't listen to the dream stealers. There's a lot of people out there that'll, say, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Don't listen to those people. That's what we really want to do is we want to build people up because a lot of people out there are just, they always want to tear it down because they wish they were you, and that guy must probably wished he was you, you do something fun. Okay, that's what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't only the money, but we had to start making the little micro plans, the little micro goals, like putting the date on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is a big date person, so when are we going to go? I need a date on the calendar. And so we literally got open the calendar and said, okay, well, it's going to take us this long to do all these things. How about right here? Good. Okay, it's done. And then you work backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You start doing all those things that, learn how to sail, stop spending money, get out of debt, all those things.
Mm-hmm. So how was that when you got through all of that and then you're about to do your adventure? How was that? Because it's just the two of you on a small boat. And I know for myself, people are always like, really, you run a business with your husband? Don't you fight all the time? So I'm just curious, how was that it's just the two of you on a boat?
For me, it was awesome. I love everything about it. I know, I love everything about it. For her, it was a little more challenging.
Well, even though we had plans, and I think it did take us about 5 years to reach that ultimate plan of leaving, but we still adventured in life. I mean, we still had our adventures. We still traveled. We still did all the exciting things that we normally do. So, I did not know what I didn't know at that time. After we got the boat and we started living in a small space, I'm like, we are putting a piece of tape down. This is your side, this is my side. But it was like parenting, he parented different than I did. So, but we came together and we decided what the rules were, and that really helped. And so also planning on actually buying the boat was very important. That was important to me. Once we have the boat, then I can kind of wrap my head around it. And it becomes a reality, and then we can start planning, to actually go.
How long were you actually gone when you did that sailing adventure? About?
That was about 6 months in Mexico and 6 months in French Polynesia.
Okay, so you were gone for about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the original plan, Michael, is this correct? You were going to do the world.
Yeah,
but
we
then
wanted.
you changed
So we
course.
wanted to sail around the world. At least I did. And then about a year into it, we both looked at each other because there's a lot of trial and tribulation when you're out there. And we just looked at each other, and I'm like, "Are you good?" And she's like, "I'm good." So we were in Tahiti, or in Bora Bora actually, and we were like, it's absolutely beautiful, and we're just like, I think we're good. I think we did what we set out to do, and we don't have to go around the world. And it was our goal, not anybody else's goal. So we can change it, and we can do whatever we want. So that's what we did. I sailed to Hawaii. She said, "Okay, cool. This is awesome. I'm in Bora Bora. I'm flying back." And then I hired a friend that flew into whatever the place was next to Bora Bora. Anyway, I paid $3,000 to have him come out there and sail the boat with me from Bora Bora to Hawaii, and then to California. Well, it was a 17-day sail, and he lives on a boat. He was a very accomplished boater. She's gnarlier than him because he couldn't handle it. When we got to Hawaii, he's like, "I'm done. This is not for me. I can't do it."
Oh wow! What
So-
did he find difficult?
It was very, very turbulent. There was a lot of waves, a lot of stuff going on. So as a captain, I had to pay for him to fly back to Mexico,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
all this stuff. So long story short, I said to Melissa, because she was like, "I'm done too," and I'm like, "I'll just sail the boat from Hawaii to California by myself." Because I looked for different captains, and there's a lot of weirdos out there. So I basically said, "I'm going to do it by myself," and she's like, "No, I'm not going to let you." So she flew back to Hawaii, and then we sailed together across the Pacific.
I was all comfy at my parents' home in the Ryan bed and breakfast, right? At working out and just, feeling great. And then I had to go back and do it again. But that's okay. That's just what happens.
Right. I know. As a married couple, you're a team, right?
Mhm.
And you didn't want him to be out by himself.
No, and
She actually still cared about me.
right. Well, and
After a year at sea.
I by that time we had been through so much on the open water, 24 days at sea. You just can't even imagine that. I learned a lot that you just can't learn from a class.
Yeah.
You have to be there and actually do it. And I was the one on watch from midnight to 4 a.m. And Michael was sleeping. So it was me. I was changing
Yeah.
sails. I was, navigating. I was doing everything I had to do. And so I felt confident.
Wow.
And
I think that's amazing.
It was awesome.
It really is amazing. When you told me the story about how you had that shift, midnight to 4 a.m. or whatever, and you were talking about there were times where the waves were huge.
and I didn't like being in the dark. I didn't like it at all. I mean, I just did not. It was not my thing. I pushed myself through my comfort zone.
Yeah, you definitely are a rock star. But that's going back how you didn't want him to be alone because you're a team, and you knew no, I can't have him by himself. And it isn't for the married folks out there. Don't you find that that's true? You know your spouse very well. You know their strengths and their weaknesses, and then if you know they're going to be weak in an area, then you just kind of you want to make up. You just want to step in and help. I know I'm that way with Mark. I'm very protective of him, and I know there's certain things in our business where I know that it might not be his sweet spot. So then I'll step in and vice versa. So I get that you're protective of each other.
100%.
And Michael knows when to push me. He knows when I can be pushed just a little farther.
Right.
Just a little bit. But I trust him. You have to trust your spouse with your life. It literally, you are looking to them to sit, for your life. And so that, it makes a bond between the two of you that you just can never break. And I mean, we just continue these crazy adventures, which you'll find out, but.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. So what would your advice be? Because there are some people in here that they have dreams and they have goals. Maybe not sailing around the world, but they have goals and dreams, but they're not quite sure how to do it or how to execute it. And what would since you've done this so many times, I mean, do you have any good nuggets of wisdom? Good advice for them?
Plan. I don't know. Put a date on the calendar, execute it. What I do every year, and I have my entire family do every year, is do goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sounds weird, but I print out the goals and I put them in my bathroom. So when I'm in the restroom every day, I have to look at my goals. So all my goals for this year, I'm only in August right now, they're all checked off with the exception of 2 goals.
Wow,
So
look at you.
Yeah, because you're constantly reinforcing, and then having it on paper, you're being accountable to yourself. So, I don't know, that's just what I do.
That's great.
I ditto that, just, you have to, plan around what you're going to be doing, obviously, but for me, it was important. I'm kind of pragmatic in that way. Okay, great, we're gonna go off and it's gonna be romantic and all that. Okay, great. I want organization. I need a plan. I need to write things down. I was the one responsible for provisioning, for getting all the food.
Great
food. Yeah, great food on the way because we provisioned in Mexico, which we all know has amazing stuff. So for me, I had to be organized in my thoughts. Michael knows all these things that he was talking about. I barely knew what each thing in the boat, what their name was. And so for me, being organized and making lists and checking things off and putting things on dates, though that to me was very, very important. So, but your spouse could be totally different. They could be, I'm going to do this, and then they have these big plans and whatever. But as long as you each have your own responsibilities, I think that really helps. Because the minute you start mingling all that, it's like, especially since we're kind of competitive, it's like, don't touch that. That's my stuff, So.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying play to your strengths.
Yes.
Right?
And
recognize that and then just stay in your own. Yeah. That is great advice. I had someone recently, they own a chain of really wonderful restaurants here in San Diego. I said, how do you guys do it? You've been working together for so long. And she said, we have very different jobs. She said, he does his job, I do my job. She goes, and at the end of the day, we come together and then we talk about our day. She goes, but we don't intermingle at all. She said, we have 2 totally different areas. And she said, that is the key. And I know that sounds like I should have known that at that point in my life, but I was like, that's actually really smart. At the time, we're probably gonna laugh, but at the time, because we have a home office, and we were working out of the same room, the same office. And my big sister said to me, why are you doing that? Why doesn't Mark have his own office and you have yours? And I said, well, because, then we won't have a guest room. And she said, oh, forget the guest. You want to save your marriage. So just the separation is really good.
Also, it was important for me to be able to do something that meant something while we were on our travels. I have been in nonprofit most of my career, and it's just ingrained in my blood and my core. So there was something that kept pulling me that says, plan something that you are going to be giving of yourself to others while you're on this trip. We went to the dollar store and we bought a bunch of glasses because how many times do you travel and people are like, I can't see. Well, here you go. And they don't have a drugstore down the street. So that was important. And then we also, having safe drinking water around the world is unbelievably important. And so there are many places in the world that you cannot get safe drinking water. So I did a little fundraiser and we got water filters. We had them on the boat. And as we came to people who needed something like that, we would give them. This picture you're seeing here, this little infant was so cute. We were talking to this couple and they were saying how their little baby needed. They were fashioning like a floaty thing from Flotsam and Jetsam stuff, you know. And I'm thinking, that's not right, Michael. Don't we have a little vest? And so we dug in, you know, all of our stuff, and we found this little vest. And that's what I mean, you know, to always, no matter what you're doing, give something.
I mean, that little vest, just to let you know, I really planned to sail around the world. That was going to be for our grandkids.
I know.
We didn't even have grandkids at all. So I was a super planner.
I love that. And you bring up a good point too about the whole thing about paying it forward. Because you can't, while it's great to have dreams, right? You do have to, Mark and I are big believers that we've got to build that into our life, where it's a natural thing. We're always looking for opportunities to bless others, whether it's connecting people together or giving them something, donating something. I mean, that really is key. And I find that, don't you find this? If you go through life with that mindset, it really is amazing what the universe will do. How the people you need will show up. You know, it's like when you pay it forward, you'll get back what you give out.
We meet so many great people when we volunteer. You know, it's just, I don't know. We love it.
That's great. That's great. So when you, so you ended your sailing adventure, and then now you're coming back to San Diego. So I got to think like, wow, that's a whole other different adventure, right? Because now you got to figure out like, what am I going to do now? Because I sold a beautiful home. I mean, did you even have a car?
No, we sold everything.
We had one car.
We sold everything. We put like 2 rooms in storage. We had 1 car between the 2 of us, and I was used to having my own car, you know, of course. And I wanted to burn all the clothes I was wearing for 6 months, you know. So even the professional clothes I had, I sold all those.
Right.
So we didn't have anything. So you know, we didn't have jobs. We had nothing. And thank goodness for lovely Tracy back here. I love my
good friend.
You can't see Tracy.
Yeah. She said, come live with us.
Yeah.
So here we are, we're about ready to sail back from Hawaii. And then when we were sailing back from Hawaii, or actually even before that, Melissa's like, you know, it's my dream now. And I'm like, okay, what do you want?
It's about me now.
And yeah, totally, I'm all about that. She just sacrificed a year of her life, if not 6, because 5 years of sailing training. So she wanted to buy an RV and RV around the United States. So we sold the boat, which we didn't need anymore because we checked that off our list, and we bought an RV. And then
we took that same pot of money that we used on the boat and we put it right into the RV. So we still had no debt. We still had no debt.
That's what's amazing to me is that, and also is you're having all these great adventures, but you're debt free.
Debt free.
Yeah. And we had an exit plan. So
right. So what we wanted to do is travel around, and we talked about this. We actually heard it on a podcast.
Out at sea.
Out at sea, and we thought we can do that. Okay. So we thought it was really important to have an exit strategy with any dream that you have, because there's got to be a wrap up to it somewhere, or an evolution. But ours was at the end of when we are done RVing, because we thought that's probably what would happen. We are going to rent our RV out and make income that way. And so RV share or outdoorsy, it's like Airbnb only for RVs. And that's what we did. We put it online. We had to like figure out all the processes, you know, and after traveling the United States and Canada and Alaska, you know, more of the same, pushing me through comfort zones that I just never knew I would be in. Walking with bear tracks and wolf tracks and just everything.
It was awesome. But, you know, literally the day we got back, we put it up online and we had income coming in I think 2-3 months, something like that.
Well.
So we almost tripled the money that we bought the RV for and made our money back. So it was really, really good. And we still have the RV. So it's still equity.
Right. Where do these, so innovative, where do these ideas come from?
Podcast.
That's why your boys got it alone.
No, it's just
We're-
learning. You're constantly learning. so.
Right, we're believers in that, and we're open to hearing, what was that over there, or hey, I just read this, or I listened to this, or,
But what career do you have now?
Well, okay, so I, of course, had no job. I worked at Palomar Medical Center, and I was the manager of the home care department there. And so that was a big job. I had 75 people underneath me, and I had done broadcasting with you, lots of presentations out there. So I thought, what could I do? What could I do? I need to make money. I'll use my voice. I heard a podcast where she actually ended up being my coach. She did voiceover while they were traveling in their RV. And I thought, well, okay. I knew nothing about voiceover. I knew nothing about it, but I just learned. I watched YouTube. She was my beautiful coach. And so eventually that's what, we started freelancing, and I afforded to be able to buy my own studio now. I have a professional studio at home, paid cash, no debt, still no debt. So if we can't afford it, we do not buy it. So after all of our travels, we are changed. We are not the same people. We can't go back to corporate world. We just can't, but we pivoted and we're now doing something with freelancing that makes a difference for us personally. So, and I can shut the door on him and just be in a quiet little space.
Right, and you're killing it too. You're doing really, really well. So to picture it, because I saw it, you you transformed isn't it your walk-in closet? Is like a...
Well, that's where it started.
That was
Yes,
back in the day.
yes.
Yeah.
Because the acoustics are very important and the sound engineering for everything. I started that way. I moved to different places in the house, and eventually I made a lot of money in those little weird spaces. But I got tired of things like falling on me and, things coming out the wall because I taped them on, and I thought, this is ridiculous. So that's when I bought the, professional studio. So,
It was a goal. She said, if I make $45,000 in the next so-and-so,
Okay.
I want a sound studio.
thank
And
you.
I said-
That was my goal.
Wow.
Yes. So she did it, and I'm like, buy a sound studio.
That's
So-
fantastic. Is it in your home?
It's in our bedroom.
It's in what? So I'm trying to picture it. I don't know if there's pictures or
No.
not.
That's
Oh, is that it right here?
No, that's
studio.
it. That's my aunt owns the radio station in Big Bear.
Oh,
So
nice,
she
very
wanted me
nice.
to do a little promo for her.
Okay, so your professional system is right, it is in your house.
It's in my home.
And all, wow. So this, if I'm hearing you right, this is something that if anyone has that dream, it is doable.
Another dream checked out.
100%. And surround yourself with mentors. There's a lot of people who want to, on YouTube or whatever, who want money for buy this, buy that, and you're hopeful and you think, but if you can just find a mentor, somebody, anyone who can give you some advice, we are mentors. Wouldn't you say we're mentors? Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
You are mentors, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
When you came back into my life, because I started seeing all your videos on Facebook, and I thought to myself, wow, this is really good. And at the time, I don't know if you remember this, but at the time, Mark and I were thinking about creating a team building program that would be about creating movies. And so, but we didn't know quite how to do it. I mean, we could have hired a lot of our friends from Channel 8 and all, but that would get pretty expensive. I just didn't know how to do it. And I didn't know how to edit. And all of a sudden you appeared. And I reached out. I reached out to Melissa and I said, hey, how do you do that? Your videos are great. And you're like, girl, it's so easy. And so I do everything on my iPhone. I'm like, what? And so you and Michael were the ones who taught me how to edit on the iPhone and all. And we ended up creating a team building program. It's the, Create a Movie Challenge. It's a wonderful program. But the bigger thing that was the great takeaway about it is that, when we met up and you taught me, and all was right before COVID. And so what happened is our business went flat because, we're all about being in person, couldn't do anything in person. So all of a sudden, Mark and I had to think, how do we stay in front of our clients? Because that was the advice, don't let your clients forget about you. So all of a sudden, the reporter and me came out, and then I was creating all these really cool videos online, and we did a lot of virtual team building. And it was all because of you guys helping us out. And I am convinced that if you didn't teach me how to do that, I probably would have gone crazy in COVID. Because I'm one of those people that I need something to really focus on. And it was just a very scary time for us. And so I had that. And I just think about, like, I hope I don't cry. But I think about how you appeared at the perfect timing. And it just,
Serendipitous.
Oh, yes.
But,
always be
but
very
Darlene, you were open. You were open to the idea, and that's important. You have to be open to
Change.
an idea and to change and to morph yourself and to be uncomfortable. I'm sure it was terribly uncomfortable to start a new program and to learn all this new stuff and technology, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, but thank you for that. Yeah, that was really, really cool. So, okay, so you've got the voiceovers, you also started you started something, you started so many things, but you also started something where you look for people to volunteer their time to do voiceovers, right? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Right. After I developed a little bit of a skill, here's this thing coming out of me again. I've got to give of myself. So I thought, what can I do? I don't have a lot of money. We still don't have a lot of money. We don't need a lot of money. So I thought, what can I do? I have a skill. Okay, well, who wants my skill? Nonprofits. They don't have a lot of money or budgets, they need to stretch things. I know that because I worked in them for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, volunteer voiceover. I mean, that is so perfect. So find volunteers in my field who are willing to give their skill to places and people who need it. Because I haven't paid money from people or nonprofits to voice things like public service announcements or videos or tutorials. There's all kinds of things that nonprofits need, especially now, with YouTube and commercials and, all kinds of things. And so we pair volunteers and nonprofits and we put them together on a platform.
Yeah.
And it's still very much in its infancy, but one of the things that is important to me is to help the volunteers, because these can be new people in the field and they need some mentoring, they need some training, and I'm not going to take money for that. I'm just not.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even take tips, because then you're not volunteering for the right reason. Volunteering is give of yourself and expect nothing in return. So if you look at our logo, it looks like a entry into a dictionary, and the meaning of volunteer is to give of yourself, without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful.
it's one of those things that's important.
Yeah, your heart is in the right place. I love that.
And Michael is always here supporting my wacky ideas.
Yeah. Well, you support his wacky
Yeah, I
ideas.
do.
It's a
I
give and
do.
take for
You're
sure.
right.
It is, which
You're
brings me
right.
to my next point.
I'll give like to you.
Yes. So Michael had celebrated his 57th birthday, and I didn't realize that you had talked to Mark, my husband, about it. That you talked to him several years ago that you had this idea and you wanted to do it. I didn't realize that,
Yep.
but it ended up being you wanted to do 50. Is it 57 adventures?
57 adventures in 57 hours.
hours. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. You did really good with the media. You were on Channel 8,
Yep.
Jeff Zeppelin. You were also on Fox 5.
Correct.
You got a good coverage by the UT, I saw. And then a lot of other different media.
I was on Susie's podcast.
Susie's podcast, that's right.
Yeah.
You're
no, it
on
was-
next on my next one. By the way. I'm going to hit you up next.
It was awesome.
So for those who aren't familiar, what exactly is the 57 Adventures?
So real quick, I've been talking about this forever, but 57 Adventures in 57 Hours was for my 57th birthday. And again, we wanted to teach people or whatever that you can step out of your comfort zone. That if I can do 57 adventures in 57 hours, that you could do one adventure, or you could do one adventure. There's so much in San Diego. It's amazing. I barely scratched the surface of what all the things you can do in San Diego. So I basically just wanted to help other people learn that you can do it. If I can do 57, you can do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And I smashed it.
Yeah, you.
With her help
Really
and my
good.
daughter's help and my son's help and my niece's help.
Right, because
Yeah.
how were they involved? How did you involve your family into this?
So she was the project manager, so she did a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. My daughter was the social media manager, so luckily, one of the things I hate most is doing social media. And she did that, and then she just got accepted as a teacher for second grade recently, so she could not work Friday, so I had to scramble and find somebody.
Oh, sure.
And I found out that my niece, she was an amazing social media person too. So she did that, and then our son, he was the wheelman, so he drove everywhere. Amazing, because we had to get dropped off because there's so, you guys know parking in San Diego and all that stuff. So he dropped us off, and then we would run to our adventures and stuff. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So what were some of the things that you got to do?
So the first thing, I'll just go through really quick.
Yeah.
Skydive, then motocross, then wave runner, then drive boats, and I did like 4 different boats. And then I taught disabled people how to swim or surf. And then I went surfing myself, and then boogie boarding, kayaking, scuba diving.
I'm getting tired of listening to you.
A few different things. I'll hand it back over to
And
Melissa.
it was all on his social media. Every few minutes, his face would pop up. Hi guys, I'm now surfing. Hi guys, I'm jumping out of an airplane. I'm like, aren't you tired?
I was having a blast. The best part was there's no social media for me, so I could do it all day long, every day. But
Yeah.
Well, what he's not telling you is that he got all of these adventures sponsored.
Yes.
So he did not pay anything. Again, debt free.
yeah.
Still debt free. And I'm convinced our kids said, sure, because we got Roberto's
Yeah, they were
to
one of our
sponsor us.
sponsors, yeah.
And of course, who doesn't want a burrito?
I saw you eating on the social media. I was
It was
like,
awesome.
like it, Michael. Oh,
So it's a lot of work. But it was the same process as going out on the boat or the RV or the 57 Adventures. He put it on the calendar and you work back and you do, you plan little micro goals and, all of that. And how are you going to pay for this? Okay, well, I'm going to get sponsors. So then you have to do a letter and a pitch and you have to, get a list of all the people. And there's so much involved with planning an adventure. So, it's not just like, oh, somebody asked us one day if we were trust fund babies.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty fun.
But it sounds
Because
like,
of how do you live this life when you do all this stuff? I mean, you must be a trust fund baby. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, we're not.
no, and you're very transparent about it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go online, you can look up their names and you tell people how you do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant in the beginning when I said you're very gracious as far as helping others and saying, this is what we learned along the way, and this is what you can do. So
We can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. So this has really been great. So I know that you, because we always, in the health and wellness, these speaker series, we always have an interactive part. And I understand that you've got some stuff that you want to show the fine folks out in the audience.
Stuff.
Right?
What we did talk about was our backpacking trip. So, and what we're going to show you has a lot to do with this. And here, again, we're getting out of our comfort zone. We went backpacking last year in August. And I had never been backpacking. Michael had never been backpacking either. We didn't have any stuff, but we did the same planning. We put it on the calendar. We worked back. And we went on the John Muir Trail, which was 222 miles. It took us 24 days, same as crossing the Pacific. And I brought my backpack, Michael has his, and we're going to talk about some of the crazy things that we used on our trip for that. And we're going to also give you a little sampling of some of the freeze-dried food that we ate. It's
I know, I'm
actually
excited about that. I'm kind of hungry, actually. You showed me your bag. It was over
It's
there.
over there.
What's that weigh?
When it's fully loaded, which is the food, my clothes, I only had 2 pairs of pants and 2 shirts for the whole time of 24 days. It was 28 pounds. On a food drop day, it was about 30
Oh
pounds.
my goodness. So do you have to train for this?
Yes.
Because that's, wow.
Yes, Michael had to train for his 57. We had to train for the boat. We had to train for the RV. We had to train for that. We hike every night, and we've been hiking every night. But that's not even close to what you need to do with something like that. You need to take that out, and you need to put it on your back, and you need to go. Because then you're gonna like, I don't like this thing here. It just doesn't feel right.
Changed up a
You know,
lot.
you have to change. We had to practice with our clothes that we were gonna wear. Because what if you get out there and you hate your pants? They don't feel right, or they're icky,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
scratchy, or whatever. So you have to practice with everything.
You do.
Yeah.
Practice is, Mark always says that in our events, we gotta rehearse. And, you know, every time he says that, I'm like, oh, not this again. But it really is true. And I laugh when you talk about, what about if you don't like your pants? All the reporters that you guys know that you have to be comfortable when you're on air, because if anything is, your pants are weird or your top is uncomfortable, you'll be fidgeting with it. So you have to actually put it on, and you have to practice like over and over. So it's the same concept. So it's the same thing. Whatever your dream is, these are all these steps. It might be the boating for you, or RV, or it might be for me, it's starting this speaker series. It's the same process, right, is what we're saying.
It's the same process, you know, practice with your socks. If socks are gonna be important to you, practice with them.
Right, exactly. All right, so shall we go over to the table? And are we gonna do
Absolutely.
the water filtering? I'll let you guys go first. Is it the water filtering first? Do you need the mic, or?
Yeah.
I'll carry it. I'll hold it, sure.
So as you guys know, I'm sorry, everything has to be like super duper small, right? So this is our whole entire water filtering system. So.
And again, we had to, you know, figure this out. We didn't know anything about filtering water. When you're out in the, you know, wilderness, you have no access to water. There's no bathrooms. There's no nothing. So you have to figure out where you're going to get your water. And then once you have it, is it clean? Probably 100% no, even on the John Muir Trail. So we had to figure out what's going to be the best for the two of us. Every little thing you bring in your backpack weighs something. So we had to figure, okay, is this going to be too heavy? You know, we wanted to practice with it. We actually did a couple of shakedown backpacking trips with this to be sure that it worked. You know, and you can see Michael in some of our videos, like putting the filter here underneath like a stream coming out of the, you know, the wall, the ground. And so what this is a platypus, and you put the dirty water in this big pouch. Then you hook it together, and it goes through the filter that filters out all of the bacteria, 99.9% of everything. But it doesn't filter out minerals and the good things in the water. So when we were on the John Muir Trail, let me just say, I flowed. Because there was no problem. It was weird.
You're getting all that for a second.
Okay.
Wow, that is great.
Yeah. So it's passive, so it's really cool. So
It looks like a hospital thing, but.
So basically what it does is it goes down through here, passively goes through here, it says the flow, and then it will slowly start filling this up. So what I would do is I would go down, I would get some water, and then I would just come back and I would find a tree, and I'd put this like that, and then I'd walk away from it. About 5 minutes later, that bottom bag will be full of good, clean water, and we wash our dishes with it, we eat with it, drink with it.
Brush our teeth with it.
Wow.
I mean, and every little bit of water, you know, made a difference, you know. Same thing with crossing the Pacific. Where do you get your water when you're in the middle of the ocean?
Sawyer.
You can't really carry all that water, so you filter salt water. So we actually had a filter that would filter out salt. And that was my job. Is I sat there and I filled up the water bottles, you know, from our what's that system called again?
I'm losing it right now, but yeah.
What's the
You guys are
anyway.
desalinization, anyway,
Yeah,
basically.
that's what it is.
Reverse osmosis.
Yeah, well, it was like that, but it
takes out the
squeezes
salt.
water through a filter, and basically the membranes keep the salt on the outside, fresh water goes through, and then you drink the fresh water. It's kind of like the same thing here, but this is basically just a straw, or you can fill this up with water, just dirty water, put it on here, and then you could drink right out of it, or you could squeeze it into one of your containers And this is like a fast thing to do while you're out on the road.
And a lot of what backpackers do is they will put this onto their smart bottle. You know, your water bottle that you get just at the grocery store. They screw it on there. You'll see them have it like this, and they just drink out of it like that. You know?
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
right. Where do you get all of this?
REI.
Is it expensive? Okay.
It was, so the way I look at it is, for everything that it cost us was probably about $2,000.
Mhm.
We were out for 24 days. Think about a 24-day vacation, how much that would cost.
Yeah.
So it was way less than a vacation, and we saw world-class views. I mean, it was absolutely
Unbelievable.
incredible.
And these were our Christmas presents to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
know,
we
so
double
the
dip a little bit.
double whammy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then this is how it all works. So everything has a place. Okay, so in here, I have my fuel. Take this off like this, and pull this out like so.
So this is how we ate every day, every night. You put this together and it weighs nothing. If you at the end, if you want to come up and, hold all of these,
This is
they
going to
weigh
sound a
nothing.
little crazy,
They
but
weigh nothing. And so
okay.
it's called a jet boil, and it only takes about 1 minute to actually boil the water. So what we're going to do is he's going to pour the water in there, and you can see it's already hot. So it boils it up, and then you take the dehydrated food, you pour the boiling water in the sack there, and then you just kind of wait, and it rehydrates it, and that's what you eat.
Wow, and as
Oh,
you were saying,
sorry.
it's really good. What were you
Mhm.
saying your favorite meal?
Mhm.
Is it lasagna or?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna have this today. And so we're gonna let you taste it. We're gonna be out in the lobby and we'll give you a little sampling of it, just so you can see what it tastes like. It's actually really good.
And this is, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So this is basically another thing. This is what you eat in. It's a silicone bowl. So when you're eating out of the bag, and what you do is you don't bring these, you actually put these in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc freezer bag, so it even condenses it down even more. But once this is all done, you basically take this long spoon and you eat. Pretty cool. So, or you put it in this, actually, and then we would mix a whole bunch of different things together.
So one of the things we did was, I saw a video online of this woman who goes hiking and adventuring. She made these, and she showed, one of her videos was how to make these. You go to like a dollar store and get those things you put in your windshield, and that's what this is. And she gave you instructions on how to make it. You do the Velcro, and so what this is once you put the boiling water in there, you put it in this little koozie, this little warm koozie, fold it up, and you just let it sit there, let it do its thing and warm up and everything. And
this
it's
thing's
wonderful.
cool. I'm sorry. It shows you when it's done. So when it turns all red, that means it's hot and it's ready to go.
Well, that's not that long.
No, not at
No.
all.
Wow.
So what you want to do is you definitely want to save as much fuel as possible.
Mhm.
So you just pour your water in there.
Michael has such
There.
big hands. I'm like,
I
I
know,
would need
drop
2
it.
hands.
So wait, you're pouring it in, and that's actual food?
Yep.
Yes.
This is actual
Okay.
food.
Right.
Always make sure you stir it, or else it'll be all clumpy.
Ooh, that's
And
lasagna?
then
Yes.
Wow.
And these
Actually, it's
days
good.
they have like organic and grain free and grass fed and all the options that you need, right? It's incredible.
Restaurant right there.
Yeah,
There you go.
I mean you can smell it. It's like,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
when you burn 4,000 calories
I
in
lost-
one day.
I lost 24 pounds.
Yeah, he lost 24 pounds. I
And-
lost 12,
Yeah.
so it'd be 12 less than right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot on me.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right, because you're burning and you're at elevation, you're going from 8,000 feet to, 10,000, then down, and then up, and then down, and then up, and we ended up at about 14,000 feet.
500.
Was the last, Mount Whitney, which is the end of the hike. And so you're burning a lot of calories.
Mhm.
You're not eating enough, there's no way you can eat enough. There just isn't, you can't carry it. So,
So I was in another world. Did you talk about
No.
us moving or storing our food at other places?
no,
Okay. So what you have to do is you have to send your food to different places along the way, and then every time you get to that new place, this is your bear can. By law, you have to have a bear
In all the
can.
national parks.
And this is a smaller one for her. You know, mine's twice as big, so I've got to carry a whole lot more.
You have to feel what this weighs. It is so heavy.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And when you fill it up with food, it's even heavier.
And then you basically have to pack out all your trash too. So well, not your poo. I mean, you dig a hole
You can talk
and
about that if you want.
yeah, you go in there. But you have anything that was revolved around that, you know, the wipes, anything like that, you have to take out with you. So you have to have a separate place to put that in. You don't put it in with your food, but you put it in your backpack on the outside typically. But by the time you get to the new destination, this is almost all gone, with the exception of if you have any trash, you have to pack out all your trash too. So you're literally trying to get as much stuff down to nothing. And then when you're at the new place to get your new food, you're so happy because you have new food, but you're so bummed because you have a whole new thing and it's going to be about 10 pounds heavier again. So the
reason they call this a bear can is because the bears, they cannot figure out how to get in this thing. You snap it shut, which I'm not going to do it right now, but
because it's hard to get over.
they're like, they can't figure it out. And so there are some bears, I think, back east that have figured it out. But in the West Coast, they haven't yet. So, but it is a national park requirement for you to have one of these. But it doubles as a stool. So you can
sit there
Oh, wow.
while you're eating your lunch or dinner. Yeah.
Very good.
And hers is perfect for hers, and mine's
Right.
perfect for me. So
Right.
it's pretty
But if
good.
you think about it, even your chapstick or your deodorant or your sunblock, anything like that, has a smell or a scent. And
It's
so
our water.
it has to go in here.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So
is
as
that
I'm
ready now?
Yeah, so now this is all fresh and clean. And then what I would do is I would typically use this to make our dinner. You're boiling it anyway, but I didn't want the runs while I was out there, so I always filtered it before I went in and did anything. And then I always washed our dishes with filtered water too.
Okay.
So I went out and got like 5 bags of this every single night. But it was so easy because as soon as you do it, you throw it up on a tree and you walk away from it. So it
And
was
I had
awesome.
to figure out how to wash my face every night without like makeup wipe, because that's weight. So now I just had to use like plain water, so honey, can I wash my face tonight? Oh, I have to go get water. Okay. So it's like a thing every night. You have to plan for that. You can't just show up at where you're gonna camp, it's all gonna be ready. You've got it now the work starts, right?
So you have to be intentional. with
Very much
everything.
so.
And going back to whatever your dream is, it's that.
100%.
Being intentional, focused, yeah.
Yeah.
Always have a
And
plan.
we practiced with all of this. In fact, there was probably a few things we took back because I was like, no, this didn't work. Or
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, oh, this is funky,
We
I
took a
don't like
bunch of
it.
stuff back.
Right.
And then one of the big things, if you guys ever want to do something like this, I bought shoes that were at least one size bigger than my foot. I was like 11 and a half. I bought size 13 shoes, and they worked perfect. And it was perfect the whole trip.
Because when you're going downhill, your toes.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I lost a lot of toenails before I did that, and now I haven't lost a toenail in years. And I used to lose them on the boat all the time too, because you kick something or whatever. So
We also had a first rendition of the hiking poles. How many of you have used a hiking pole before? Okay, so some. It's a little weird. I never thought I would. I didn't like them. But our first ones were from Walmart, very cheap, and we practiced. We practiced using them, how to use them. There's videos online how to use them and why you use them. But then we ended up getting expensive ones because these are really lightweight.
Right,
and you
super
can
duper
hardly
lightweight.
feel them. And those are obviously for Michael, and then I had to get the little child ones for me because
I save a lot of money on child stuff.
it's true.
She buys child's everything.
REI child's clothing is very cheap.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that
think
was
we're good.
great. Thank you. Shall we go back and
Sure,
That was
sure.
really informative. Did you guys find that interesting? Yeah, it was. It is very good stuff. And I'll give this back to you. So I would like to open it up to anyone who might have a question or so, because we've still got a few minutes, if anyone has a question on anything you saw here, or anything you're
About
curious
this
about.
trip, did you start out with any water that you packed in your backpack, or you went with zero water?
No, we started out with water, yeah. 'Cause- Yeah, our little, our regular water things, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we didn't fuel up, I'm saying fuel up, we didn't get water until that evening.
Yeah.
And it was a trip too, because the first day, there was a big brown bear, or black bear in the area. And it was, the reason why I say brown bear is because it was a black bear, but he was like really, or she was really tan. And she was a pretty sizable bear. And after we hiked, we saw the bear, and then we're like, okay, let's hike another couple, miles or something like that. So we hiked a couple more miles, and I had to go get the water by myself. And I'm like, looking all over the place. So yeah, but we did start with water.
Because I'm like, okay, he's got to get water, and I'm all, watching you, and
Right. But,
And where you have the food sent ahead, you don't have water, just food.
no, just food. But anything that has a smell has to go in there. So underarm deodorant, a stick of chewing gum, anything at all. Lotion, yeah, 100%. All goes in there. So it stinks when you have to go in there just, to do something, because you're constantly in and out of that thing. And that's why we don't lock it until it's the end of the night, and then we lock it up.
And did you carry a tent?
Yeah. We didn't bring all of our stuff, but she carried the footprint, and then I carried the tent. And so we kind of divvied up a lot of the weight.
so what the footprint is the thing you put down before the
Kinda like
tent
that.
goes on, right? And we divided and conquered. It would be too heavy for one person to carry, so I said, well, I'll carry this and you carry that. And that worked out just great.
It's perfect.
Did you have a zero bag?
No, it was not. We didn't have any zero stuff. It was, what we got right there, what you see. And then, what did we do?
What was your bag rated at?
What do you mean?
As far as weight,
Temperature?
No, it was a 30, I think ours was 32, but it was, the reason why is we were summer camping.
yeah.
Yeah.
And after 15,000 miles, I've only seen one albatross at sea. Did you ever encounter one?
Oh, that's interesting.
Remember.
I don't remember the birds, seeing a bird out at sea.
No. We saw
That's the biggest
thousands and thousands
No,
of
I
birds
mean-
out
Biggest
there.
bird
But
in the world.
yeah. I think we might have
albatross.
seen an albatross, but we saw so many birds, I was just like checking it off the list. Yeah.
A lot of
Very
squid in the Sea
Yeah.
of Cortez. Choo, choo, choo. And a lot of these things I've never seen before, ever. And Michael says, oh, that's a squid. One of the coolest things that ever happened was on my midnight shift. It was very quiet, very dark, and I'm sitting there in the boat, like this. And I look over, and all of a sudden, there was this like, and I looked, and I'm like, what is that? And I didn't know what they were at the time. And the next morning I said, Michael, I saw a pod of something. I don't know what they were. They were beautiful, black, shiny, quiet, and they had kind of a flat nose. And he said those were pilot whales. And they're a little bit rare to see. And I mean, right now it even gives me goosebumps to even say that, because it was something so like in the
It
moment
was her.
that I had not looked that direction. I would never see that. We were probably 2,000 miles out at sea. And it was just phenomenal. A little moment like that,
Did you ever wake up in the morning with dead flying fish?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Dead flying fish
I had
on your
squid.
boat.
I had
Yes.
squid on me one time, and dead flying fish. Because what they do is if you guys have
This is
seen it, flying fish, they fly, and then they'll hit you'll have a hatch open. They'll hit your hatch, and then they'll just land right on you. And then sometimes you're just like, what's that? You don't even know, and then you wake up and you got flying fish all over you, or a squid, all over you.
I think one time
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
you were sleeping up on deck, and that happened. There were
Yeah.
some fish, and you're like, with the water. You're like,
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Looks like you saw and swam with whale shark.
Yes, yeah, a bunch of them.
Mexico?
We did it in La Paz, and then we've done it with our kids out in, what's that? Isla something, some other island in Mexico. Yeah, but yeah.
And then also in, I forget where we were, Bora Bora maybe?
Oh, yeah.
We noticed all the
manta
little
rays.
tourist boats were going out to this little peninsula where all the manta rays hang out. And of course, we're cheap. We don't want to buy anything. So we're like, we'll just go out there ourselves. And so we watched what time of day they went and where they went. And then when all the tourists left, we went out there and in our little dinghy, which is the little boat that you carry behind you. And we went out there and we just kind of hung out and waited and waited and waited. And Michael said, I'm going to go snorkel down. So he's very good at that. And he dove like 20 feet down. And he comes up and he goes, they're here, they're here, they're here. And the I don't know if you've ever seen a manta ray in person. They are enormous. And so the photo you probably saw here was, I think I was up here floating around and it was Michael and then the manta ray below him. And that was a natural moment. It wasn't a tourist moment. That was like a natural moment. It was another one of those things. So it's really cool.
Very, very fun.
That's beautiful, wonderful. Any other questions?
How big was your boat?
37 feet. Yeah, it's an island pack at 37. So it was super duper rugged, and I wanted to buy the best affordable boat that we could possibly buy, and then give her, I mean, this boat's almost like a tank. You can run over anything and the boat would still, make it. Some of the other boats out there, I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna name names. Some of the other boats are like fiberglass and they would just fall apart in a heartbeat. This was a blue water boat and it had protected keel and protected rudder, and it was just a beautiful hardcore boat. So
Did you ever get grounded?
I'm not going to mention it.
His question was, did we ever get grounded? I'll answer that, yes.
Yeah, for about 30 seconds. Yeah.
And being grounded is, for those of you that don't know, is when your boat, touches the bottom and you're like, can't go anywhere.
Oh, man.
So, there were so many times that I thought I was not going to live through that. Honestly, there were probably 6 times where, whatever was going on, I was just, I don't know. I just don't know about this. I may not make it out of here.
We hit a rogue wave one time, and it was right before we were coming into maybe Rangaroa or something like that. And she flew from one side of the boat all the way across the boat and hit her head on the side of the boat and scared me to death, and she's literally, if I'm allowed to tell, she was literally crying on the ground, and I was like, okay, I think we're done at this point, and she got up, and about 5 minutes later, we went into Rangaroa, and she's all, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So it's extreme highs and super low lows, so it's like, it's all over the place.
But I tell you, his calming demeanor, both of ours, in a crisis, because there's going to be a crisis no matter where you are or what dream you have. There's a crisis, and what we were told over and over again is people would see us in a crisis, and we would communicate to each other instead of, what are you doing, man? And yelling at each other, and don't do that. But you see and hear a lot. But we were like, this one time when another rogue wave came and it hit us out of our autopilot, and I didn't know what was going on. Michael's running around. He goes, "Take the helm, go 30 degrees," which is what's that called again?
The compass.
The compass. And I said, "Okay, 30 degrees like that," and I'm holding it like this.
Laser focus.
30 degrees. I don't know why. I didn't know anything about it. I just followed his orders, and I did that, and he was so impressed because I didn't freak out, I didn't panic, but he didn't yell at me. He just calmly said, 30 degrees, that's what we need to do. Okay, and we got through it. And there was time after time after time that happened. And it pushed both of us to the maximum that we could possibly go. But yet we still managed to be calm and respect each other.
That's key. Yeah.
Did you have a jack line?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We jacklined even when it was calm seas and stuff like that, we had a jack line on, because she'd be down below. If you guys don't know what a jack line is, we have a harness on, and you're hooked up to the boat to where you can walk all the way around the boat, and if you fall overboard, you're still hooked to the boat, you know?
Okay.
But I told her mom and dad I was gonna bring her back alive, so
Yeah.
we made sure that we did that all the
Ever
time.
fall overboard or
Never.
practice?
No, our,
Yeah, we practiced.
the question
We practiced
was, did we ever fall overboard? And our kind of process or procedure is if you fall overboard,
You're
you're
dead.
dead.
Yeah.
Because in the middle of the ocean, you can lose somebody, lose sight of them so fast, it would just blow your mind. Absolutely just blow your mind. But procedures, and I'm in healthcare, right? But procedures are very important. I was at the Red Cross. Procedures are huge. No matter what line of work you're in, they're important. And it's important with your partner to know that you're going to not deviate from those procedures. Because the moment you deviate, I can't trust you now. So, I knew that when he was out doing some stuff up above, that he was jacklined in. That was his promise to me. And if I caught him or he caught me not doing what we said we were gonna do, it's not good. So.
She had a question.
I don't know where to begin. Anyway, speaking of manta rays, did you know that the spots on their underbelly are as unique to each manta ray as our fingerprints are to us?
That's beautiful.
You may have covered this in the very beginning, but first of all, I can't begin to tell you how much I admire and respect, and thank you for bringing joy to this group.
Oh, awesome.
And
Thank you.
Darlene
Thank
as
you.
well, for hosting these. You may have covered this in the very beginning. I know when you first met and you had the common attributes and goals and love for each other. How and the big how soon into the marriage though did this dream really start manifesting? Beyond maybe I think maybe let's try this, or we'll think about it. Because I know you said it took 5 years of planning. How soon into the actual newlywed time did this really start taking shape, start molding?
What a great question. Did you all hear her question? So I guess my answer to that is, in the beginning, it was, you're still sort of in that honeymoon period, So one of our first dates, I think, I rented a sailboat. And he said,
That was my birthday.
he said he knew how to sail, so I don't know how to sail, but I rented a sailboat, so okay, I'm showing you that, I'm willing and all of that. But there was so much work to do before we even got to the sailing, and that was with our children. Blending our family. We could write a book on it. And, the best thing that we did was, we were having difficulty blending. This child expected this thing, this child expected that thing, and constant conflict and all of that, and different parenting styles. But the moment Michael and I said, we've had enough, I think it's because you and I are not in agreement with this thing. And so we got together, we wrote the rules ourselves, and these are between us. We agreed on them. We shared them with the children. They signed it. And overnight, it was like overnight, they changed. Because why? We were now together in this plan. No longer were we separated in our thoughts and beliefs and whatever. It's now together. So I believe that plan and that process is important no matter what you do. Is you have to be in conjunction with each other. I hear that so much with anything.
Agree. So you're saying that you set the parameters, and then you said, here's the rules,
right?
And then you said, here's how it's gonna roll.
Here's how it's gonna roll. Like for example, if someone has their door shut, don't walk in. You knock. If we're having a discussion, wait till we're finished. If someone's on the phone, don't go up and say, hey, can I, blah, blah, and pull them, if I want to go have a day with my son, that doesn't mean you're going to feel jealous. I will do it with you too. So it's just like there was about 20 rules. It wasn't like difficult, but those are the things that even I can visualize in all these adventures we've done that.
That's good.
It helps. She has a psychology degree.
That's right. But that really is true, and I think that can easily equate to a marriage, or in our case, how Mark and I run a business, in that we have to be all on the same page. Because if the staff recognizes that we're not on the same page, now all of a sudden there's mayhem, right? So he and I have an agreement that we always have to be, kind of like I would assume, like I'm not a parent, but I would think as parents, you always have to be on the same page. That makes sense. You have to have a plan. This has been great. Very good, very good. Wonderful. Can we give him a round of applause? For joining us. This has been wonderful.
Join our journey. We know you have questions and comments. The Adventure Travelers.